it's targeted. It's completely and totally targeted. And I was talking about this the other day. It can be construed as meddling in the election. And what they've done is they've gamed the algorithms to go after people who are competing with the sources that they say are verified and trusted and authoritative, when in reality, it's basically pay for play.
Hey friends, Sean from SGT Report here. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Say, before we begin this interview, I just want to shout out two great sponsors. Number one, if you're experiencing pain, anxiety, and boy, today, who isn't, stress, there is something that might help. It's a little thing called CBD. I best not say that too loudly on YouTube or I'll get banned. But right now, our friends at Organica Naturals are offering a flash sale, buy one, get one free on 2,500 milligram, zero high, THC-free, super concentrated CBD oil isolate. But if you want to purchase any of the other fantastic products, you can use coupon code SGT Report to save 15%. Also, this interview is brought to you in part by our friends at Brave, and a great way to take a bite out of Google is to not use their browser Chrome, which spies on you. And the best alternative I've found is the Brave browser. It will not spy on you. It's more than twice as fast as Google's Chrome, and it has a built-in ad blocker. I will leave the link to the Brave browser below. Download it, install it, and use it. You'll be glad you did. Okay, guys, let's begin. It's so wonderful to have you back, and it's nice to have on the line my friends Dustin Nemos and Craig from Just Informed Talk. Dustin first, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well, Sean. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to have you back. And Craig from Just Informed Talk. How you doing, brother?
Well, I have to say this. I think we talked about this before, but I got to just say, this is such a crazy, incredible thing. I was watching you a few years back, and now I'm here on your show, and it's just an honor. Thank you for having me on.
You're so kind. I told you that as we were beginning to record, and it's very nice of you. And I'm just glad that there's so many people now in the space, people that I didn't know of when I got started doing this back in 2011, 2012, and my wife would say, you're going to make yourself a target. Are these people going to come after you and kill you? And I was like, no, there's way bigger fish to fry than me. I mean, they're going to go after much, much bigger fish than me before it ever gets to me. I think I'm pretty much off the radar. And, they did go after people like Alex Jones. They are focusing on bigger fish, and they are trying to bring down truth because that's what the deep state does. But you know what's great, Craig? They can't get all of us now. There's dozens and dozens. There's hundreds of great truth tellers on YouTube now that are relatively new to the space in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Well, I was talking to one of my friends. I think you're 100% right. Who basically, let's just say they are connected to the military and all that stuff, and a lot of these things that are happening here. I'll just leave it at that. And I said, what's the worst they could do? They kill me, and then all of a sudden I'm with Jesus in heaven. That's not a bad thing to me. I you know what I mean? Like, because I don't see it as a bad thing. And he literally goes, no, don't worry. They're not going to try to kill you. They're just going to try to defame you and destroy your name. I was like, okay, I guess I'll look forward to that.
That's right. Do you know what? They're trying to do that right now to Tiffany Fitzhenry, and I made her aware of that. And, of course, she's gone on the offensive. No shrinking violet, I tell you that much. She's great. But they tried to do that to me back in around 2012, and I made a video about it called Which Criminal Bank Hates SGT Report. You guys can search for that right now. Use Bing, I suppose, because Google will filter that out. So does YouTube. It's hard to find any of my old videos now, even if you know the title of them. But watch that video, guys who are listening. Which criminal bank hates SGT Report? 3 IP addresses that were flooding my website, sgtreport.com, and on YouTube, my YouTube channel comments. Of course, I couldn't see those IP addresses, but on my website, I could. All of those slanderous, libelous slurs, racial slurs, sexual slurs, all of them, terrible, terrible comments against me, against my family, against truth, against all of it, trying to defame me. All of those comments tracked back to 3 IP addresses owned by Bank of America. And of course, I cut my teeth in this space, guys, talking about the criminal banks and the Federal Reserve and the need to go back to honest money, gold, silver, etc. So that's what they try to do first, Craig and Dustin. You guys know this.
I'm skimming through this video that you just said. I looked it up real quick, and I can tell you that it's incredible. And wow, but you're totally right. That is a part of the plan, I think, is to get away from the Federal Reserve. And you were like way ahead. So, I mean, you were ahead on that one. So
well, they try to defame us first, right? They try character assassination. They try ad hominems because they cannot beat us in the public square of ideas, which is a great segue into our topic today. censorship and potential lawsuits against YouTube and or Google, but certainly YouTube specifically. We can talk about that in a second, but I'll just note, after I produced that video and after I provided the evidence that I show in that video, those attacks all stopped within 24 hours. So I'll tell you what, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when they come after truth tellers, when they come after people like Tiffany Fitzhenry, when people start making nonsensical 3-hour videos trying to character assassinate any one of us, that's how you know our trees probably bear fruit. And that's what I've always said, guys. Look to the trees that bear fruit over time. Those are the people you can trust.
Agreed,
Amen.
Sean. And I want to add into that also that they're coming after us so hard. It's very interesting in this day and era, but they don't respect weakness. They respect strength. And as you said, they back down. And that's the kind of position that we all need to take, because baring our throats and kind of turning our bellies sort of in an animal sense up to them, showing weakness doesn't really get us anywhere. It just gets us censored.
Well, that's right. And I should let the audience know, we have been talking, and when I say we, I don't just mean the three of us on this call. We, dozens of us, have been talking about the potentiality of suing YouTube specifically for what they're doing, violations of Section 230 under the Communications Decency Act, and violations of our First Amendment rights. They are a platform. They are not a publisher. At least that's the legalese they hide behind to prevent them being sued by any one of us individually or for slander on their platform, right? They get blanket amnesty against lawsuits if anybody does something stupid on YouTube and uploads a video slandering somebody. YouTube can't be sued. They've got amnesty. We want that amnesty taken away because they are acting as a publisher when they get in the way of our free speech, which they're doing with their algorithms. Guys, you'll remember that they announced publicly they were changing their algorithms back in January 2019 of this year to filter out what they call misinformation or disinformation, including conspiracy theories. Now, the question that begs to be asked, friends, is who decides what is misinformation? Is it the ADL? Is it Snopes? Is it other YouTube trusted partners who we don't even know who they are? People in a dark room like Orwell's 1984 getting to pick and choose who gets free speech and who doesn't, whose videos get promoted and whose don't. Guys, that's at the core of our conversation, isn't it?
It seems to always err on the left in terms of, I guess, any sort of fact checking or any sort of position of authority on any topic, doesn't it?
They just don't pick and choose either. It's targeted. It's completely and totally targeted. And I was talking about this the other day. It can be construed as meddling in the election. And what they've done is they've gamed the algorithms to go after people who are competing with the sources that they say are verified and trusted and authoritative, when in reality, it's basically pay for play. And they're suppressing us death by 1,000 cuts. They're shutting us down. They're slowly tightening the grip. They're slowly taking away our monetization. They're slowly pushing down our views. They're slowly taking us out of the suggested videos. And they did it all. The suggested video thing was pretty abrupt. And then they come out with their little blog and say, oh, we're just trying to do the 4 R's and keep the internet safe. And you're like, no, that is not what's happening here. It is a complete violation of I think, to a degree, our civil rights. It's obvious that they are violating campaign laws, FEC laws, with regard to their in-kind donation to the liberal agenda, the Democrats. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and it's incrementalism. And as you say, it's a social attack on our rights. It's a business attack on our livelihoods and the way we support our families, our work. And it's also, as you say, it seems to be an illegal contribution to the left, politically speaking.
Well, and look at the document dump that came out from, I think, Zach Voorhees, where inside they have research papers on the psychology of how, you can actually, how to create slaves is basically what it is, and how to control people, and how if you just take away this from them and you force them into this scenario and you take away their monetization enough and you do it over time, then you'll break them down. And it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's psychological warfare to a degree. And one of the things that resonates with me, Craig, that you said is basically this censorship is selective. And we all know it's selective. For instance, the Young Turks is not restricted, and neither is Tim Pool. But there are people within the space of conservative talk and conservative analysis who are not being throttled down. People who I've had on the show, people who I've promoted when their channels were young and fresh just a year or two ago. I mean, we're talking brand new channels that now have 250, 350,000 subscribers. And every time they put up a video, they get 60,000 views in 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. It's taking me 3 days to get 60,000 views. So it seems to us, guys, as we analyze this, even as it pertains to libertarian, Christian, and conservative speech, is selective, which is really a head scratcher. I've made the argument that YouTube is trying to have plausible deniability.
I mean, I think what you're saying is 100% true. But think of it this way: when it's selective, but it's targeted. It's who they see as the most effective, right? So like I could show you the statistics of my channel and the growth rates, and we can compare them to before I think they really kicked this algorithm into full gear, and then after. And you can see, I mean, views, subscribers, organic, unique views, every category, I was killing it. Like, I mean, because when you let the algorithm work as it should, which is just as it used to, which I keep saying, YouTube used to be great. I used to love YouTube. YouTube is how I was able to get to where I am today, because I used to watch it, and I used to watch all these smart but diverse and thoughtful people. And yeah, sometimes the algorithm would kick me some weird video saying the world was going to end and that, you know, there's horses that are going to be flying out of the sky and stuff. But I mean, at least I was able to make that decision for myself. And that's why I disconnected from TV. I don't even watch cable anymore, basically. I mean, I watch like literally the shows I watch. I watch Fox News sometimes for like Tucker and all that. And I'll watch a show like Live PD, and maybe I'll watch a movie with my family, but that's it. And they realize now that YouTube is the new medium that's overtaking them. So the corporatization model is being basically implanted on top of YouTube, and they're getting rid of the people who compete with things like Fox News. I think me, you, Sean, others, we compete directly with the channel like Fox News. That's why when you go to my channel and watch my videos, I guarantee you every video in the suggested box next is going to be Fox News, because we were competing and destroying them, and we were doing it without even being in direct competition. Now they're migrating onto this platform. They're paying the corporate companies to give them the premier spots and give them suggested views. So what do? They shut us down, the people who created the platform. Not as much me as much you, Sean. You've been here for much longer. I mean, that's my take on it.
I want to add something to that. Remember that it's not just that they're taking money to cheat us. It's also the fact that they're willing to lose money. Like YouTube lost $70 billion in doing these changes and pissing everyone off.
That was Google market cap. Just to clarify, they lost $70 billion in market cap when they reported earnings, and earnings had slowed a lot from YouTube advertising because they were killing the news sector, and that's the real news sector, by taking away all our ads. That affected their bottom line to some degree.
That's hate. They're willing to lose money as a corporation to enact their power over us and to slow us down. And as you guys were talking about censorship, yeah, in my case, I was actually hard stopped at 96,000 for almost a year now. So who knows what's the future?
What, subscribers?
Yeah.
96? Yeah, okay. And by the way, if you want to see the direction YouTube wants to move, all you had to do was tune into the World Series. YouTube TV behind home plate the whole time. YouTube TV. Even when the score came up, YouTube TV. World Series brought to you by YouTube TV. They want to become Time Warner. They want to become Comcast. They want to become the way you watch all the traditional television shows that you might watch now, folks. That's what they want to become. What made YouTube great was the diversity of producers and real people out there connecting with other real people. That's what made YouTube special. Those algorithms, which propped up the most watched, the most liked videos, those algorithms have been changed, and now nobody gets organic growth anymore. Only the chosen ones get propped up, like Fox News, like Tim Pool. It's very much become a publishing platform, not just an open, honest, fair platform. So now let's bridge into this potentiality of a lawsuit, and I want to say a couple of things. The conversations we've been having have been organized by Dustin, and on the last conversation, there was, I think, more than 24 really terrific high-level people on there. I'm not going to name all their names. Some of them might not want to have their names mentioned, but I think I can mention a couple. Gary Franchi, Next News Network. Benjamin Fulford was on the call. There were some really incredible people and bigger names even than that on the call. And I guess I'll leave it to those people to speak publicly, but I want to say there are other big lawsuits right now in play. There's one by Prager University. There's one from Tulsi Gabbard against Google, one from Laura Loomer, and then Jason Feck, who was on our call, he's suing Facebook and doing a great job with that. Last thing I want to say is that it was Dustin who paid a retainer to Covington Kid Nick Sandman's attorney, Todd McMurtry. And Todd McMurtry has been the one on these calls kind of coaching us all up about what our legal rights are. And I guess the sad bad news, friends, is that we don't have a lot of legs to stand on as long as YouTube can hide behind Section 230. That's the crux of the takeaway as I see it. We will get Dustin's thoughts on that in 1 second. But if you guys don't mind, boy, I babble a lot, don't I? If you guys don't mind, let me play this from PragerU so everybody can understand this gigantic lawsuit that's already in progress against YouTube. This is Eric George, the attorney for PragerU.
The most important lawsuit in America right now, and perhaps the free world, is Prager University versus YouTube. You might consider this a grandiose statement, especially since I'm the lead attorney for PragerU. I assure you, it's not. That's because this case is about the most fundamental freedom Americans have, freedom of speech, as enunciated in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. All our freedoms, the very concept of freedom, springs from this right. Lose it, and we're no longer free, not as individuals and not as a nation. I'm not willing to accept that. PragerU doesn't accept that, and you shouldn't either.
I'll pause it right there. Dustin, we're going to come to you in a second for your thoughts on what we're all trying to do. I just want to also mention that Dennis Prager, the man behind PragerU, Dennis Prager and his buddy Adam Carolla and many other high-level folks are in a new documentary out right now called No Safe Spaces. It is in theaters in some selected areas around the country, so you guys can Google that. But it's a big story, Dustin, because these people are helping us fight the good fight, and PragerU is already in the ring fighting YouTube directly with this lawsuit.
I absolutely agree. And I think that maybe it will be death by 1,000 cuts, and one of these cases is going to get through. I'd like to see something at a Supreme Court level. And, you know, as you said, it is a little gloomy if you look at this from a free speech perspective because of their immunities. But there's also other ways to attack, like potential class action antitrust. And this is a different perspective, but the end effect could be the same. We would be able to effectively stop them from doing this.
Craig, we'll get your thoughts too. Jump in anytime. But one of the points I made early on in our first meeting, and I mentioned this to Todd, and I think he thought it was a warranted idea, but maybe not the best approach. But I think we could go after YouTube for tortious interference, which is them specifically interfering between us and our listeners. And if YouTube is throttling down our videos so that instead of, like last year, I averaged 150,000 plus views per video, this year I'm averaging closer to 60,000, I can't reach my audience because of YouTube's interference. That's illegal. It's called tortious interference in a business relationship. So I think that's a leg to stand on. But meanwhile, we have Tulsi Gabbard going after Google, Laura Loomer going after what? I think YouTube specifically, or is it Facebook, guys? Correct me. And then Jason
Laura
Loomer
is suing, I think, Twitter. But
oh, is it Twitter?
Or no, Facebook.
I think it's Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook.
But tortious interference, remember, is it means that they've actually intentionally caused damage, right? That's what it is. They're intentionally causing damage to our relationship with our viewers, as you pointed out. And you could argue very easily, and that's what I think some people are trying to do right now, that in and of itself is tortious interference against us. And then there we have a case against these companies, because when you look back at how they helped us out, this was somebody else's words from somebody else is doing a lawsuit, but I'm kind of quoting them where they talked about, you got to look at what they did to you in the affirmative, right? They helped us build these platforms. They gave us all these tools, but then they took them away with the intent of damaging us, right? With the intent of limiting our reach so that they could bring in other companies to basically compete against us and then beat us. So that in and of itself, I think, is really the biggest problem. And, you know, when you take that and put it against where we are at and what's happening, like for instance, with my channel, you know, I've seen everything happen incrementally. And I've said this before, you know, people call it the frog in boiling water. Some of the people call it death by 1,000 cuts. I like that term for it, but that's what's happening to our channels. they are coming after us. They're suppressing our content. They're limiting our reach. They're taking away our suggestive views. They're literally just trying to destroy us so that they can replace us. And that is almost the exact definition of tortious interference as far as business relationships go.
Guys, how do you pronounce Jason's last name? The guy suing Facebook. Is it Fike?
Fick.
Fick. Okay. Well, he was on our last conference call, and I was really impressed. I mean, he's going after Facebook hard, and he said he's going to take it all the way to the end. I mean, even if he can get to the Supreme Court,
and he might be the one that establishes the precedent that others can use against other platforms to say this is a documented a form of tortious interference that we can go after other platforms for. That's why I think that's who I was really talking about with his lawsuit.
Yeah, because Facebook literally destroyed his business, right? He had tremendous reach and he was having tremendous success. And then Facebook went out of their way to silence him and destroy him and destroy his business.
What they did is they actually gave his business to a competitor. Or he was able, I think, technically to sell it, and then they were allowed to turn it back on. Same content that he was not allowed to use, I think, is what happened. So it's a little bit unique in what happened to him in that case, and his case will possibly be a precedent-setting case, but it is a little bit different from what some of us have faced. Although, back to the business angle, you could definitely argue that what they're doing is as Craig said, they're giving our business to Fox News or to CNN as the primary trusted news sources or whatever, and they're doing so maliciously out of hate for our political or independent stances.
Yeah. Well, and then we just saw that news item just the other day from Twitter. Jack Dorsey saying that they're not going to allow political advertising on Twitter moving into 2020. I mean,
I know why. I think I know why Twitter has decided to ban all political ads. I mean, it's quite obvious. The Democrats are broke. They have no money. President Trump, the Republicans have all the money, so they're trying to like even out the playing field, and it's fine, I guess. In some weird world, Jack Dorsey is making sense of this in his head, but in the real world, it is tantamount to, again, another violation of FEC law. Another, and you know, these are private companies, you can argue, but then they claim to be the public square. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, I'm private, now I'm the public square, but I'm private. And you know, it just, there has to be some more definition to this. And I think that's obviously why they've done it. And I think that, you know, that's my take.
I think that's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. I think you're absolutely right, because President Trump has millions, tens of millions of dollars to throw at advertising. And the DNC is literally bankrupt. They're literally broke. I guess they haven't filed for bankruptcy protection, but they are in the hole. So is Biden's campaign. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he's overspent he's overspent his donations by several $1 million. Lisa Mae Crowley made a great point about this on Twitter, guys. She said, Jack, go ahead, ban political advertising, paid political advertising. We're going to spread the hell out of the message for free. And then she embedded a Trump political ad, which I thought was brilliant.
Did you hear Trump's statement from Brad Parscale on this? I want to share it. Can I share it?
Yeah, please do.
So this is the official statement from Brad Parscale, Trump's campaign manager, about this. And this is from the Trump camp. It says, quote, Twitter just walked away from hundreds of millions of dollars of potential revenue, a very dumb decision for their stockholders. Will Twitter also be stopping ads from biased liberal media outlets who will now run unchecked as they buy obvious political content meant to attack Republicans? This is yet another attempt to silence conservatives, since Twitter knows President Trump has the most sophisticated online program ever known. And that's unquote. Look, that says it all. Look, you have the Democrats are broke. President Trump's got the most sophisticated online program ever known, and they're doing everything they can to game the system against President Trump in the run-up to 2020, because these psychopaths in Silicon Valley believe that they were responsible for getting President Trump elected, when in reality, the people of this country use their products to make their voice heard. So now what you're seeing is the people in Silicon Valley saying, well, we need to suppress the voice of the American people, the majority of American people, the majority of states in this nation, because they don't align with our, you know, coastal liberal ideologies. And that's really the most dangerous thing here, in my opinion. And that Brad Parscale, you know, hits the nail on the head.
Yeah,
And
that's
they
a
think they
great
can
point.
stop him. They believe that they can stop him in 2020 by changing the algorithms. And it's not, it's just creating the biggest Streisand effect ever.
Yeah. Isn't it funny, you guys, to hear these, well, liars, for lack of a better word, right? They bear false witness against their neighbor constantly. They lie by omission, and they want to continue to pin the 2016 election on Russian election meddling when we can clearly see what they're doing gearing up for 2020 is literally meddling in the election by doing crap like this. It's just incredible.
It's
That
almost
Tulsi
like
Gabbard is
they,
now even being accused of being a Russian agent by Hillary just really brings it to the sort of peak clown or peak insanity.
yeah, and it's really like when you hear this the theories I think that a lot of these people have, and it's so I think that the people at the top, right, they're like Bond level villains, right? But then there's people in the lower rungs, but still in the upper management of these big tech silicon companies. And the way they rationalize this is very fascinating. They rationalize it in their mind. They've drank the Kool-Aid on Russia. They believe our president is a Russian agent. And in their minds, somehow it makes sense that they're righting the wrong of 2016 by doing all of this, by censoring conservatives, by shutting down the voice of America, by going in and gaming the algorithms to go against President Trump in 2020. You know, all of these things in their mind is some like form of repentance or atonement to their so-called, you know, America that they, whatever they serve, you know, their Silicon Valley tech gods that they serve. And that's their form of atonement. And that's how they justify this. And that's the scariest part, because they lack self-awareness in such a way that they would be the ones who would unknowingly, without even realizing it, be marching, goose-stepping down the street going, Heil Mark Zuckerberg. You know, it's like, what is happening here?
Yeah, and they would actually be in a position to do that. And if they could, they would. And they really do hate us. And remember that everything is justifiable, like in defense against a hated foe. So that's really the kind of mental state that they want their constituents in. That's why you see so much bird whistling for violence. That's why you see so much emotionalism and using children for political ploys and trying to use, you know, and hurt animals and things of that nature for global warming, you know, propaganda and things of that nature, because they have to manipulate the emotions, get you to that state of hate. Then you can be used as a weapon.
Yeah, and fear, right? They peddle in fear. They peddle in hate. I've said many times, I think that it only makes sense because the left is godless. And, you know, I should mention this, guys. Shout out to Red Elephants and a shout out to Jamie Deluxe. I posted this at the Phaser. By the way, I've got a new one up from you, Craig, on thephaser.com that I posted this morning. But shout out to Vince James, you bet, over at Red Elephants. FBI releases major vault on Finders CIA cult. And this one from Jamie Deluxe, Finding the Finders. What hit me hard about Vincent's report, I watched it last night, posted it today on the Phaser, is that he comes to the same conclusion at the end of that video presentation about the Finders CIA cult and child sex trafficking and satanic ritual abuse and blood rituals. He comes to the conclusion at the end of that video report. He says, Jesus Christ is the answer to all of this.
So let's think about it like this. If we have people at the highest levels of government working with the elites, a lot of people speculate that Jeff Epstein was like part of intelligence. This is how he made his money. Because no one knows how he made his billions upon billions of dollars. He was given mansions by other elites. If they are worshiping the devil, if they are worshiping Satan at the highest levels of government, the highest levels of media, of elitism, then we should be doing the opposite. You should be taking your family to church. You should be worshiping Jesus Christ, who is King, who is our Lord and Savior. You should be reading the Bible. You should be getting on, at the very least, getting on your knees every single night and praying. If you have people at the highest levels of government who know everything that there is to know, who are worshiping Satan and doing satanic rituals with goats and children, then you should do the opposite of that. You should worship Jesus Christ, who is King.
I think the point I want to make about Vincent is that he's getting to the same place now that all of us have gotten to over time. If you go down this rabbit hole, you get to spirituality, right? At the end of the day, you get to the battle between good and evil, black and white, dark forces that deal in human trafficking. Laura Silsby caught at the border in Haiti trying to traffic out 33 children. Guys, that's human trafficking. She got caught by Haitian authorities with kids that weren't hers, 33 of them. And who came to her aid? Bill and Hillary Clinton, to get her a reduced sentence. So that's what we're dealing with here. And at the end of the day, Vincent James is getting there, as so many of us are. We are waking up in droves that this is spiritual warfare, and the left is godless. That's the only thing that explains why they want open borders, abortion on demand, illegals to vote in elections. I mean, it really leaves you speechless.
Living a godless life, I think, I can speak to this because I am a Christian evangelist. It's part of what my channel is, and it's important. And mainly that's what my channel is, I like to say, because that's what I do first and foremost. And this is a time in which you can see that there is a lack of just general goodness out there. But it's by design. You got to understand, the TV, the hip hop, it's all been programming. All of this stuff has been programmed. The devil has been doing this for so long, and there's so many who are asleep who I think would be good people otherwise, if not for the fact that they're entrenched or entranced by a system that they don't understand. They don't understand about tonal frequency, mind control, and subliminal messaging, and how you can actually, create an advertisement that'll seduce your mind, and it'll shoot off dopamine. And the same thing with social media. What is swiping your phone? They talk about swiping your phone to the left or right. It's a form of pleasure that kids find. It's weird. But they have all of these studies that show that this technology is meant to basically lull you to sleep and then make you into a slave. And God stands in opposition to that. And that is what we're lacking, is people connecting to God and a higher power. And because that, to me, is the biggest problem, I think. And like you said, it's 100% true. And, I pray every episode for our world, and I share the gospel, because if we forget that is how we win this war, then we're never going to win it. We're never going to win the war if we don't remember that bringing God back is how we win.
Yeah, and we're never going to have an opportunity to transcend these problems that are really plaguing us right now, unless we can get out of these low vibration states where we're sort of asleep and sleepwalking through life.
Yeah. And people are waking up in droves. Honestly, that's why there's the whole walk away movement on the left. People are getting fed up with these.
That's why we're being banned and erased. Absolutely.
Yeah. People are getting fed up with these Marxist talking points from the left. All right. As we wrap this up, let's throw it back to conversations about this potential lawsuit. Again, it was Dustin who paid a retainer to Todd McMurtry, and it was no small retainer. And so, Dustin, I'm glad you did that. I know that your heart is in the right place. What you want to do is take on these people, and you'd like to give a platform to many of us on YouTube to come together to try to sue YouTube. Now, my interpretation from what we've heard from Todd so far is there is no clear path, right? There is no easy way because of Section 230. So why don't you give people an update on how they can join the movement if they want to be a part of what we're all trying to do in terms of finding information and the best way forward. Tell them about stopbitburning.com and give us your thoughts on the best way to move forward here.
Well, after speaking with Todd a few times about this and seeing the file that came of the research, sort of the summary, there are a few paths forward. Torts were mentioned. That tortious interference is definitely one of them. A free speech-based lawsuit could be one of them, although there's so many shields that they have that they've sort of corrupted the system into giving them, that it would be difficult to go that way. And it is a little gloomy, not hopeless. However, I do think that our best bet is the class action antitrust, because that goes right around the immunities that they have. It gets us into possibly discovery. And, as you were saying earlier, Craig, the 950 documents from a Google whistleblower, Zach Voorhees, well, that kind of information tells us where to go once we get discovery. So I do believe that there is a path forward, but before we ever get a chance to see if we can use that path, we're going to have to build a movement, and we're going to have millions of people awake to what bit burning really is and what's happening online. And, where they can find out more information, of course, is Stop Bit Burning or Digital Book Burning. And they can sign up as a regular person who wants to just get information and get updates and see how they can contribute if that becomes an option later on, and that's the regular newsletter. You'll get the updates around this campaign and any major updates from the other attorneys or their lawsuits that are happening, free speech oriented. And then if you're a VIP, if you're an influencer, if you have a YouTube channel or even another platform, Pinterest or Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff. If you were trying to do this as a journalist, or if your voice was just censored because you spoke out about something that you thought was wrong, or maybe you stood up for President Trump, or you just didn't have the right message, then reach out to us through that forum. You can sign up and you can join the campaign and the conversation that's going on behind the scenes between, as we said earlier, as you said, Sean, about 30 people plus showed up to that last one. And that's about half of the total amount. So there's about 60 influencers with a reach of about 5 million if we came together. So that's very encouraging, especially after, just a month before the first meeting was just about 10 or so, 13 people. So it really has grown exponentially already. Now is the time to invite others to be part of that. Thank you for letting me talk so long there.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. And as we wrap it up here, I neglected to mention the lawsuit from the YouTubers Union. I forget the name of which. The YouTuber is Jorge Sprague, I believe. Anyway, there's a lot. Is that right?
I think it's Yarg.
Okay. And there is a union, the biggest union. Is it IG Metall?
IG Metall, yeah.
Okay, yeah. The biggest union in Germany is in talks with YouTube, threatening all sorts of stuff against YouTube if they don't change their ways. So that's another action that's going on. And it's good. This is a global awakening to Silicon Valley tyranny, guys. At the end of the day, everybody is waking up to this censorship. Nobody likes it, at least anyone who's right-thinking and values the First Amendment. Guys, I guess this is a good place to wrap it up. Any final words?
Yeah, I have something I want to add real quick. First of all, Sean, thank you for what you do. Your work is so important. You've
Thanks.
been, a lot of people like myself have looked up to what you do and follow your work, and they think it's great. And I have to share, though, one thing with your audience, and because, in my channel, we talk about all this doom and gloom, and then I like to leave people with hope. So, and I know you do too. So this is a little Bible verse that I want to remind people of when we look at the people in Silicon Valley, or the elites and the globalists and this cabal of evil people. Just remember this. There's a folly to the wisdom of humans, and the folly is this. And this is out of 1 Corinthians, in case anyone wants to look it up, chapter 3, verse 19 and 20. But it says, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, since it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the reasonings of the wise, that they are futile." So don't forget, guys out there, that God is in control, and read the Bible. God wins. There is hope. We will persevere. No matter what they do to us, they'll never shut down the Spirit, and the Spirit lives in each and every one of you. And thank you, Sean. You are such an inspiration. Thank you so much for having me on today, and God bless you and your audience.
Oh, God bless you, man. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for that. That was well said and very appropriate. Thanks for sharing that. And shout out your YouTube channel. We should get some more subscribers coming your way.
Well, if you guys are interested and you want to come check out my channel, it's Just Informed Talk on YouTube. That's Just Informed ED Talk, and you can go find me there. It's youtube.com/justinformedtalk. Go to find me on Twitter at JustInformU, the Twitter handle, JustInform, the letter U. And I hope I see you guys there, and follow Sean. And I mean, if you're not subscribed to Sean yet, go hit the button. Go do this man the favor that he deserves. Hit that button. It's a great channel. Y'all should be subscribed if you're not. And if you're watching this from my channel, come hit the button on this man's channel.
Thanks, man. You're very kind. All right, your check's in the mail. All right, and we'll wrap it up here with Dustin. Why don't you shout out your channel? Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm kidding, guys. Nobody gets paid for this stuff, and YouTube doesn't want us to get paid for this stuff, but I really appreciate your kind comments today, Craig.
Yeah, nobody's getting paid for this. This is honestly from the heart.
Yeah, you're a good guy, man. And Dustin, you too. So, Dustin, you want to shout out your YouTube channel and any websites?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm Dustin Nemos on YouTube and the Nemos News Network. And of course, even if you did send your entire audience to subscribe to that channel, it's not going to get a boost. We've been through this before. They've hard frozen me. And of course, if you're pissed about that, and you're pissed about people being frozen or censored online, and you want to be able to see the news that you want to see, then check out stopbitburning.com. And of course, that includes Sean because his voice is one of the most censored out there, because he's been in this fight for a long time, spreading the light.
Well, again, thank you. You guys are being so kind, but there are far more censored voices out there right now than mine, including Red Ice TV that was just banned from YouTube, right? The hits just keep coming. These people
we got to
don't
stick with them there. Sean, you probably remember so many channels that aren't even here anymore. And
Well,
like
yeah.
I do, you know, it's sad.
Well, it's an outrage. It really is. It's an outrage. It's an assault on what it is to be an American, that these companies continue to do this and continue to get away with it. So anyway, guys,
Meme wars.
That's a good place to go ahead and wrap it.
All right, guys. This is a good place to wrap it up, guys. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. All of you that have stuck with us so far, thank you so much for giving this information a like and for sharing it within your sphere of influence on social media while you still can. God bless you guys. And for real news 24/7, you can visit us directly at sgtreport.com, the antidote to corporate propaganda. Bye-bye.
When you have those kinds of crimes being committed, almost surely the next layer down is going to be even worse. So if they're trafficking in stolen materials of one kind, what else are they trafficking in? If you get my drift.